Motorcycle King of the Baggers team gets the benefit of the S&S engineering and performance minds working to make those motorcycles as competitive as they can possibly be out on the track. At S&S, we really are about proven performance. If you want to learn more about what we do at S&S, please visit sscycle.com.
Welcome back to VIR. You are here for MotoAmerica Superbikes at Virginia International Raceway. We're just moments away from our first qualifying session for MotoAmerica Superbikes. On the back of those last races at Laguna Seca, all eyes are on Yamaha. This is the bike of Jake Gagne down here. Of course, a multiple champion. His teammate Bobby Fong over there just behind us. Not actually down here in the pit lane just yet, but Yamaha, one of several manufacturers, of course, in the championship. We've got a couple of minutes before we get started, so just come with me while I'll show you some of the other manufacturers in the series. Yamaha, of course, have been successful in MotoAmerica for many, many years. Going to show you now a bike that you might not recognize. I can tell you it is a Ducati. It still does belong to Josh Herrin, but a new sponsor this weekend. So this is a completely new livery, new helmet as well for Josh Herrin. You see there, you've actually got the face there superimposed on the side of the helmet. We're going to try and get a little bit of a closer look at that during the mic on the mic segment tomorrow. And again, for the fans, we've got an extended mic on the mic tomorrow and on Sunday as well. So send in your messages of who you want us to talk to. Let's have a quick look here. Track action about to start. Cam Beaubier on the Titleist BMW M1000. And as he pulls out, you're going to just see, I think, Steve, there you are, the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. Bikes then coming down the pit lane onto the circuit. Steve and Roger are up there in the commentary box. And Steve, you can feel the anticipation, and sadly I think we might be feeling a couple of spots of rain as well.
Well, hopefully not, Mike. We've got a 40-minute session here for the Superbike class at VIR, and this is the opening qualifying session of the weekend. Just looking at what we can expect for this weekend, obviously the big thing is going to be Josh Herrin against Cameron Beaubier coming into this weekend. Beaubier had a technical problem this morning, so it'll only be in this qualifying session that we really start to see his pace. 31 points is the difference between Beaubier and Josh Herrin, and then Bobby Fong, two-time race winner last time out at Laguna Seca. He's moved within 6 points of Cam Beaubier. And Rog, when you look at the championship coming into this weekend, this is a massive weekend for Cam Beaubier.
It's a massive weekend, and even for Bobby Fong as well. They have both got to come in here and try to claw a lot of points back on Josh Herrin as this season starts to wind down.
You mentioned Bobby Fong, third in the championship standings, fastest in this morning's session as well, and Bobby with a 25.3. He was also the busiest rider out on track, did 19 laps. Always important to get those laps in during the course of a qualifying session, gives good information for the races this weekend. Hayden Gillum, impressive again on the Honda, second fastest. Jake Gagne, third fastest, only 0.3 of a second between them. Then Josh Herrin, fourth fastest. Cameron Beaubier, after that technical problem, almost 0.9 of a second off the pace in seventh spot.
And you mentioned that the Cam Beaubier, not a lot of laps this morning, had a mechanical, not exactly sure what that is, so makes it tough when you start the weekend off on the back foot, but now he's got a 40-minute session to try to figure it out.
What about Bobby Fong as well? The number 50, so impressive last time out at Laguna. Double race winner on the Sunday, second in the opening race of the weekend. Those triple header weekends really are a chance to make up a lot of points on your rivals if you've got the bike in the window.
Yeah, and for him, able to have the momentum going into toward the end of the year for Bobby, and this track I think suits Bobby well, and also I think the Yamaha works well here as also. So I think it's going to be a good weekend for Bobby. This track's kind of like the Ridge. They struggled a little bit there, but Bobby, we had him on the preview show this morning. He looks like he's confident.
We did see it obviously at the Ridge as well, where Jake Gagne was very impressive and very quick all the way through that weekend, and certainly for the Yamahas, they'll expect to be able to put themselves in a chance this weekend to consolidate what we saw this morning from Bobby Fong. He's got that confidence, he's ready to go, and you'd certainly expect in this qualifying session that he's going to be able to show that speed again.
Yeah, and I think early on he's going to be pushing pretty hard to try to put a lot of good laps in and see how consistent, how long the runs, and the tires comes into play a lot here at Virginia. That
consistency really is the key, and certainly for Bobby coming into this weekend, the qualifying session becomes important to be able to show that pace and consistency. And if you want to play MotoAmerica for cash, the Superbike Baggers and Supersport Series are now live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playmh to see what's available in your location. And Bobby Fong certainly last time out was able to show that he's made that step forward, and it's impressive whenever you see a rider come in and do that, because with Jake Gagne against you, you know you've got a real comparison you're able to make at all times. Gagne is so fast, so consistent over the years in the Superbike class, and Bobby's been able to show up this year.
And Bobby's did a great job as well, switching teams. I know he was on a Yamaha last year, but it's still difficult when you move teams with the new crew, and things are a little bit different. Bobby's picked it up really well. Yeah,
5 podiums as well as those 2 wins last time out as well. And Bobby really impressive last time out in Laguna. All of our classes, live practice and qualifying racing, are available on MotoAmerica Live Plus. So check that out to be able to see all the action, the interviews, the highlights, and special features throughout the course of a race weekend. And you can view that on all iOS and Android and Apple TV and connected TV devices. So check that out on MotoAmericaLivePlus.com as Bobby Fong continues to make his progress around. And just to give a comparison for what Bobby was able to do this morning, it was a 25.3. And immediately, Rog, he's 13 thousandths of a second off that pace from this morning and going faster now in his second lap.
Yeah, it looks like he's on another really good lap through here. Man, the bike just looks stable. You see him sliding it around right there. Just looks really confident. Even though the bike is sliding, it's sliding forwards. You can just tell when a rider and the bike's working well and they look good. They look confident.
Yeah, and we'll see what Bobby's able to do for a few laps now as well, because obviously around here, Rog, as well, it's one of those things where when the grip level is there, you're able to have that confidence. But once that tire starts to spin, once it starts to drop, with all these different corners where you're on that angle in the fast corners, it really is a case of if that grip starts to drop, you do start to struggle.
Especially getting the last corner there, coming on the front straightaway, turn 17, the grip goes away. On that Superbike, it is hard to get. You see the bike moving around. See it's right where Jake is. See the bike moving around and trying to get the power there when the tire starts to go off is tough.
24.8 last time around for Bobby Fong. Let's see what his teammate Jake Gagne is able to do as he comes across the line. 25.2. So around about 4/10 of a second between the Attack Performance bikes. And for Bobby, though, to be able to go 25.3, a half a second quicker on that next flying lap, and a lot faster than he went this morning, shows the progress that's been made from the free practice session into the qualifying session, and exactly what you'd expect, Rog, but always important for the team to be able to see that what worked this morning is working this afternoon in different conditions. Obviously, a bit more rubber down on the track, and temperature rises as the day goes on.
And also, it's better this session as well because the races are in the afternoon as well. So right now, your bike is working really well. Bobby's on another good lap, and just talk so much about momentum and confidence, and Bobby winning those 2 races Sunday at Laguna just carried it right over to this weekend.
Really important in the qualifying sessions as well, just to give yourself those chances to qualify well. And when you look at Bobby over the course of this season, qualified on the front row of the grid for all but 2 races, 2 rounds, but at the Ridge qualified on the 3rd row. You need to give yourself that chance to be up there on those front rows of the grid, and Bobby again on that last lap, 24.5, so just goes faster and faster.
Yeah. And just backing her up, just it's what they call race pace, whatever the rider's able to get out there and do a couple of those laps in a row. Yeah,
really important to be able just to show that consistency, especially whenever early in a session like this, you want to be able to put those lap times in and try and grind out 9-10 lap stint, come back into the pits, and then give yourself the chance to make a change and put in a fresh tire and go for that one fast lap. But for Bobby, whenever you've got this much confidence, it really does shine through, and be interesting now just to see the comparison between himself and his teammate Jake Gagne. Jake on the number 32 machine, second fastest, 0.6 of a second down on his teammate. Went a little bit faster last time around again, and personal best in sector 1 as well.
Big thing for Bobby as well is I think the team knows whatever changes they made from this morning to this afternoon was the right direction to come out and be able to you know, I'm sure now he's going to come in the pits and might ask for a little bit more.
We saw a quick weather graph there as well, just to look at the fronts coming in, and we'll obviously keep an eye on that. Michael Hill down the pits will keep an eye on it as well, and hopefully for the next 33 minutes we're able to be clear here for the Superbike class as Cam Beaubier continues to improve, and for Beaubier, 25.5 here on his opening stint, and that's about 0.6 of a second faster than he went this morning after those technical problems. This is Jake Gagne that we catch up with now on the number 32 machine, former champion. And for Gagne, when you look at the comparison between him and his teammate Bobby Fong, it looks like Gagne's bike's working well as well. So the Yamaha clearly a competitive package around here this weekend, Rog.
And 2 riders, and I think for Jake also to have Bobby's data to compare and look and see what maybe they're doing a little bit different, and Jake's looking really strong so far this weekend as well.
See the bike just moving around a little bit there on the front as he comes into turn one. It's a bit different compared to what we saw from his teammate Bobby Fong, but different riding styles as well for both these guys. We keep an eye here on Jake Gagne on that number 32 machine, and for Gagne, second fastest now in this session, and just continuing to put in some decent lap times. Josh Herron, third fastest, Cam Beaubier, fourth fastest, and Sean Dillon Kelly is fifth fastest now, 10 minutes into this session, and still 31 minutes to go. This is Hayden Gillum that we're catching up with now on the number 69 machine, and for Hayden, sixth fastest in this session. But Rog, we've been able to see a few really impressive performances from Gillen in recent rounds as well. When you look at the second row of the grid for Road America, second row of the grid for the Ridge, and also for Laguna Seca. So that's impressive to see that consistency on the Honda.
Yeah, and they made huge strides at the Ridge where Hayden was so fast all weekend. Laguna, they had a couple, issues, which kind of hurt them. Sometimes that happened in racing, kind of a weekend to forget, but they come here this weekend and now they're fast again. That's what's so cool to see the Honda there, not just one track. They're able to bring whatever package that was competitive last race to every track.
And that looks like Sean Dillon Kelly just running off track, and for SDK, fifth fastest, and managed to rejoin without any issues. But always one of those things for the riders where easy whenever you're in the group through a blind corner as well, Rog, just to miss that peel-in point ever so slightly, run yourself out wide a little bit, and SDK experienced enough just to be able to stand it up and not cost himself anything other than just a bit of time on that lap.
And sometimes going into that turn 7, you catch a rider maybe pulling out of the pits and they're going a little bit slower, and you catch them really quick, and then you got to go, and you move to the left and try to avoid them, and it puts you off the track. Starting
to see some riders improve their times. Cam Beaubier has moved up to second fastest with a 25.0, and that's a good step forward from this morning from Beaubier, and certainly now that the problems have been ironed out, he'll be expecting he's going to be fast all the way through. That's 1.1 seconds faster than his free practice time. Jake Gagne is third fastest. Last time around, Josh Herron came into the pits, but had just set his personal best for an improvement in fourth fastest, and we've got round about 0.6 of a second between the top four right now. This is Sean Dillon Kelly that we saw run off the track, Rog, but the different part of the track here, and just trying to give himself that chance to get the bike moving.
It's just fun watching these riders here, the rear end, and see the bike moving around up over the curb. Not what you want as you're starting to get into the braking zone.
It's not ideal there for SDK, but it shows again the confidence that you need to have around a track like this, because you need to be able to run right to the end of those curbs. But an old school track like this, the curbs turn into the grass very quickly.
Especially if you have a little bit of lean angle as well. When you go over them straight up and down, it's pretty good. But sometimes if you're a little bit offline and you just got a little lean angle, it can really upset the bike.
As we see Josh Herron here in the pits. And just for at the front of the top of the times as well, last time around on the 7th lap of his stint, a 24.9 from Bobby Fong, still faster than anyone else has been able to do all the way through this session, and that is impressive, Rog, to be putting in that sort of consistency and still out there on track right now. New personal best in the final sector last time around, so he's still pushing on, Bobby, only 10 minutes into the session, and trying to give himself that chance to get the information for the race.
Well, yeah, last lap 24.9. That's still quicker than any of the other riders. Cam Beaubier going down and went, so he's definitely got that thing dialed in this weekend.
Just as well in a session like this, there's only 12 riders out here in the Superbike class because we've got the stock 1000 class as well. It means that it's a lot easier to be able to run your own place and run your own pace rather than having a lot of traffic through the course of a session.
Yeah, and for a rider who's up to speed like Bobby, and you don't want traffic, you want to get out there and just keep putting your laps in. And with only 12 guys, there should be a clean track.
Yeah, Bobby's just about to come into the pits now as well. His last time around was a 36, so you'd expect that he's just come back into the pits now as well. This is Benjamin Smith on the number 78 machine, and for Smith just trying to give himself that chance to be able to get back out there soon enough, and he's been able to put together some decent performances over the course of the season so far as well. And for Smith, when you look at the times he's been up there on that third row of the grid the first couple of rounds of the year. Important to be able to give yourself that chance going forward once again. Just hearing down in the pits as well, Cam Beaubier off his bike right now, so we'll wait and see if they're making some changes to that. Obviously, Rog, after the problem this morning, your first consideration is always just to make sure that you've got the bike running again and able to get back up to speed. And for Beaubier, second fastest in this session. And Michael, what can you tell us about him?
Part of the strategy then from the Titleist BMW was to send Cam out for a handful of laps, which he has done. The plan was then to come back in and start a debrief. So as you can see over the wall, he's already in the middle of that debrief. No issues reported. It was a small electronics glitch this morning. No issues reported, but Cameron has requested a change to the suspension. You might just see that actually on the camera now, that the rear shock has been just taken out. There's a new one about to be put in. So very quick and speedy change with the BMW M1000 RR. Very we move out of the way so I can see what they're doing. Yeah, they're just actually removing one of the other little bolts which seems to have got stuck, and now that's come out. So yeah, quick shock change, but Cameron gave us a thumbs up. Obviously we're not going to go and stick a microphone in his face when he's had that issue this morning, but all calm, all part of the plan, and he went out on used tyres. So again, the fact that he's already up into P2 is a good sign for Titleist BMW and for Cam Beaubier.
Yeah, the top teams, Rog, they'll all have different shocks at different settings to be able to make those changes as quickly as you can. But for Beaubier, when you lose that track running this morning, when you come to effectively a new track for him with the BMW, you've got to be able to be a little bit patient getting it into the right window.
And for Cam, I think he's going to be feeling pretty good after this morning. Okay, now I'm within a half a second, and now we can start to see the leader, and we'll see what these big changes that they're able to make.
I thought we were going to see Bobby Fong come back into the pits. He's actually still out there on track at 27.3 last time around. So a couple of slow laps there for Bobby. And we'll see if he tries to get himself down to reflective pace again. But inside the pits, we can see Cam Beaubier here on the number 6 machine. Beaubier, we saw at the start of the season, Rog, the speed is still very much there. That string of pole positions to start the year, the first 3 rounds. And then also Laguna last time around. It was only the Ridge that's been a blot in his copybook. So for the rider with so much success here in the MotoAmerica Superbike class, the speed's still there. It's just we're up against Josh Herron this year. Josh has just had that little bit more consistency.
Definitely the speed is there. I mean, Cam Beaubier is probably one of the best that's did it here in the Superbike class in MotoAmerica, so he definitely has the speed. There's just a couple little issues here and there, or be fast all weekend, and then in the race maybe the bike wasn't the same as it was in practice, and struggled a little bit more. So just not putting it all together, but we definitely know he's got the speed to be able to do it.
Yeah, and last time out for Beaubier, he was able to come away with 2 podiums, but missed it out in the opening race the weekend. And certainly whenever you're up against Josh Herron here in the unfamiliar #1 livery, but when you're up against Josh Herron, you know that Josh is always going to be pretty relentless once we get into the races. And that's been the story this season so far. And certainly for Herron, that 5 wins in a row, that's the foundations of a championship challenge.
And this is the part of the year last year when he went on his run. So I think he's just getting started, and he knows what he needs to do.
Yeah, and certainly for Herron, you don't want to give him that head start. 31 points right now, so it is a big head start that Josh Herron has here coming into the weekend. But for Herron on that #1 machine, we'll see how the weekend goes, because the Yamahas do look strong. We saw that from Bobby Fong on his opening stint, and we'll wait and see what everyone's able to do now into their second stint. For Bobby, on his 11th lap, Rog, at 25.2, and that's in and around the 5th fastest time in the session. So really impressive to be able to put in lap times like that so consistently.
I love the look of this livery this weekend, the Carter Machinery Ducati. That thing looks good.
Yeah, the yellow leathers I like, and the yellow helmet as well. A very distinctive look. And certainly if everyone wants to be able to catch the action through the weekend, just check it out on MotoAmericaLivePlus.com. And we'll see if Josh Herron's able to keep himself up at the top of the standings here in the championship as well. 4th fastest in this session, and as ever for Josh, it's one of those things where you have that situation for Josh where builds into a weekend, Rog, and now that we're into the qualifying session, really important to be able just to show that.
And you can see just right now in his riding, he went back out. It kind of looked like a new tire. Don't know that for sure, but it looks like Josh is out there trying to find that extra little bit. You can see the bike moving around as he heads down in toward turn 7. You see Ken Beaubier, looks like that team has made their changes, got the new shock in, and Beaubier is going to try to head back out. There's only 22 minutes left into this session in a Superbike class, and all the changes that you're able to make, that goes by fast.
Only 22 minutes left in the session, and we're just getting a bit of a warning for anyone trackside here at VIR as well. MotoAmerica just telling us that the weather front is moving in, and just to take shelter in cars or vehicles to be able to keep out of that weather on the way. So have a plan in place for once that weather arrives, as we see Cam Beaubier leaving the pits now, and Rog, we can see the storm front just moving in on screen now as well. And Michael Hill down in the pits, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I can tell you down here, Steve, that the weather front that you are looking at on the television screen, we're starting to feel it down here in the pit lane. It's not raining, that's a good thing, but the wind has picked up, and the clouds that had blown away now are coming back towards us again. So I think it's just kind of this situation that we're in, but the weather front is definitely coming in. Fingers crossed we can get the remaining qualifying sessions done, and then if it rains through the night, I don't think too many people are going to be too worried. But if we can just hold off for the next hour or so, there you see the flags blowing, the wind has really got up. If we can just hold off for another hour, we'll be all right.
Yeah, and Bobby Fong came into the pits last time around, and at the same time, Rog, Josh Herron went up to second fastest, 24.8. Fastest lap of the day for Josh there, and down into those 24s, but still 0.3 of a second off Bobby Fong's time.
You just see when Josh went back out in his riding style, you can see when he's trying to throw a good lap at it, and he was pushing pretty hard, and they're closing the gap for Josh, and that's kind of what he does. He just chips away at it all throughout the weekend.
Josh is one of those old school riders, it seems, where you're able to piece together the laps, and then when you get to the races, he's still able to be as fast and consistent as anyone. We see some other riders that have to go out there and do those long stints, understand what the tires are going to do at all times, but for Herron, we do tend to see it where it'll be fits and spurts through the course of a session.
See Bobby moving his hands there, and we've even seen, if you've been watching the coverage all day, talking about front chatter, the bike's moving around, you can see that hand motion, something that he's struggling a little bit with, or he's telling them, hey, that maybe the chatter's better.
Yeah, and there are quite a few bumps around this track as well, and that seems to be exaggerating any of those issues as well, because especially whenever you're on the exit of corners and you start to you have to keep that throttle pinned, so the bike doesn't have a chance to release any of that strain, and the chatter just builds and builds. But that's one of the challenges here at VIR, Rog.
And there's a lot of challenges here, and look at Sean. You see the way he's sliding the bike through there. It's so cool to watch these Superbike guys going through there, especially when the tire starts to go off like they are now and really starting to spin around. And Sean's having a good weekend here, sitting inside the top 5.
Still trying to chase down that first podium of the season, but what we've seen from him over the course of the season so far has been a good step. If you think back to those front row starts, he's had 4 front rows this season, and he's been able to show that speed, but the Suzuki maybe a little bit outgunned at times compared to the Yamahas, the Ducati and the BMWs in those longer races. But SDK, he's done a good job here in his second year in the Superbike class, as he continues to make his way around. Back in the pits, Jake Gagne is 4th fastest. His teammate Bobby Fong is setting the pace, and for both of those riders, you'd imagine that they'll probably go out now together at this stage just because of the rain coming, and they've obviously seen that weather radar as well, Rog, and now everyone really is building into it, knowing that you've got maybe a limited window now to be able to set that qualifying simulation run.
Not only that, but also if you're making changes to your motorcycle, you know you better hurry up and make those changes, because with the weather coming, you're going to run out of time.
Yeah, we've got less than 20 minutes left in the session, 18 minutes exactly, and for Josh Herron, you can see in the pits here the number 1 machine, and for Herron, 8 laps on the board in this session, 0.3 of a second down on Bobby Fong, our pace setter, and we'll see if they're able to get him back out on track pretty quickly. We could see from Jake Gagne down there in the pits, obviously wants to get himself out there as soon as possible, and he's left the pits, and we'll see what Gagne is able to do once he gets himself up to speed. This is Ben Smith just making his way around on the 78 machine, 10th fastest so far, just over 2 seconds off the pace, and we'll see if he's able to find some time and make a bit of an improvement now at this stage. But those riders at the front, they're the ones that we'll be keeping an eye on, Rog, because for the likes of Cambobia, half a second off the pace. Jake Gagne, half a second off the pace. Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante, 2 riders that will expect to find some time right now as well. It's a second for Sean Dillon Kelly and 1.7 seconds for Escalante. And Escalante in particular on this next stint, you'd imagine that he'll be able to make a bit of a step forward.
And the top 4 is pretty close, within a half a second. So everybody's kind of figuring things out as this session's going on. You see Bobby, just the detail that details the crew chief and how important it is to give that information to the crew chief so he can tell you what to do. And also sometimes you might ask him to look for something on the track while you're out there. Hey, this is happening here in this corner while I'm out there. Can you take a little bit of a longer look at it?
And obviously as well, Rog, that immediacy is important, because when you get to the end of the day, it's easy to forget 1 or 2 details of what's happened over the course of the day. But once you come off that bike, immediately to give that quick feedback really is important to the team and the crew chief. As we catch up on Richie Escalante, and we mentioned that he needed to make a step forward. Rog, it looks like he's on it.
Yeah, personal best lap for him, still a little bit off. He's in the final sector now. What a good run he gets out of that last corner, and it's going to be the best lap of the weekend for Richie.
Yeah, Escalante 5th in the championship standings. Let's see where he moves himself up to 6th fastest now at this stage. And for Escalante, that's in and around where he's qualified all through the season. 5th and 7th, his qualifying performances this season. So good effort from Escalante to put himself in there. And Rog, we mentioned about the bumps earlier on and the chatter and the challenge for the riders. You can see just how much that front is moving around.
Yeah, you can just see it, and for the rider, that's what they're going to be fighting all weekend, trying to find the confidence of the bike chattering like that. Where's the limit for some riders? They don't, every rider handles that a little bit different.
The one thing for the fans as well, to keep an eye on those front shocks. You're able to see on the fork, just what's happening there for the amount of bumps that you're having to deal with and the challenge for it. You can see there for Escalante just how much it compresses on that entry. So heavy braking for him at that stage, but just continuing to improve last time around. And we'll see on this lap if he's able to make a bit of a step as well, as we see Sean Dillon Kelly, Escalante's teammate, just leaving the pits, and he's got a fresh tyre on the bike to give himself the chance to be able to set a fast time at the end of the session. We're hearing from the pits though that Josh Herron will go out again, Rog, but on a used tyre, so he's not out there trying to chase a lap time right now.
Yeah, look at the front end, and when we can see that on the TV, it's worse for the rider, because the TV really takes a lot of that out of the way. There's a lot of tracks where riders talk about chatter, and we don't see any of it on the video, and to be able to see that much is just makes the job a little bit difficult for the crew.
You can see there on the entry into turn 1 as well there, you can see how much that rear end wants to come around. What about the engine braking around a track like this? It's one of those big talking points that we hear an awful lot more in Superbikes now. The electronics and making their improvements, making their steps. More and more riders just relying more and more on that engine braking for that feel on the entry.
Well, that's the tough part, is finding that fine line with the engine braking to help you slow down, but also not locking up the rear wheel where you're not slowing down. And where you want a lot of it down into turn 1 is because you want to start releasing that front brake and head down to the apex. So if you have the right amount of engine braking, you can let the front brake go and rely on that. But that's the tough part to figure it out, and some riders want it to taper off sooner than others.
Yeah, and obviously that's where your relationship with your crew chief and your electronics engineer really pays off, and that's where you're able to make those big steps. But you can see there for Escalante as he skips across the bumps through that part of the track as well. That's where the confidence really comes in for a rider, and you're able to see that change for the riders anytime that they're able to just carry that speed through that part of the track. As we take an aerial view, and you can see lightning in the background there as well. So any of the fans around the track here at VIR, just be mindful of that, and if the weather does roll in, just to be ready to take shelter from it. But for the riders here, Rog, you can get a good chance to have a view of the facility as well, and it really is a unique place. As Josh Herron continues on his way now. And Herron, we know that he's out there on a used tyre, and what's the benefit for that for Josh? He's not trying to chase a lap time. What's he looking for?
Well, the time he came in before that, I think he put a new tire on then, and now they're trying to got going a little bit quicker. He got down into the 24, so I'm sure the bike's starting to change. The quicker you get, the more you need to start trying to make some changes. So he had a new tire, went out, found a little bit of speed, and some other problems have cropped up. And I bet toward the end of the session, he's going to come back in and get the new tire then.
Yeah, and we've got 12 minutes left in this session. This is SDK making his way around the last corner, and a really good lap here from Sean Dillon Kelly on the number 40 machine. Is the Suzuki going to move up onto the provisional front row of the grid as he comes across the line? Second fastest, down into the 24s as well. That is impressive from SDK. We have been able to see it this year, Rog, though, where his qualifying performances have been standout. He's been able to get everything you can out of that bike. He's been on the front row of the grid for every round except for one. And when you look at the championship standings, when we see what happens in races, it's in these qualifying sessions that you're able to see the raw speed of the rider and the difference that he's able to make for it. He's riding well.
Riding really well. And one of these days, the podium's going to come on that Suzuki.
We've just got the red flag has come out, and we did see those flashes of lightning in the distance, and that'll be the cause of the red flag here. It's Bobby Fong leading the way with a 24.5, and Sean Dillon Kelly, Josh Heron are also in the 1 minute 24s. And with this red flag coming out for lightning as well,